live. Oh my God, not that sound.
I need to uplift our Mondays. Our
Oh,
Monday's
that's
been rough,
hilarious.
man. Let's uplift the Mondays. Hey,
I know.
everybody. Thank you for patiently waiting. In true Black Pros fashion, we had some tech issues.
Yes, as always. I feel like
Yeah,
it would not be. It's brand. It's on brand for us at this
it
point.
is pretty much. That's how we do things.
It is what it is. We're here now, and we're just gonna chit chat for a little bit while we wait for people to come in because I'm very excited about tonight's topic. I'm not gonna lie, and I feel like the article that has basically like turned social media upside down came out at
You
the
were,
perfect time,
man, God's timing plays no games because we planned this topic
well in
before
advance.
August even started. So
Exactly.
it came right on time. It truly, truly did. How's
So
everybody's reading going? It's silence. You haven't started a book either, huh? Oh no. I think we're back to the cursed sound. Oh my God.
and I want to like
There
binge
you go.
TV
You're
shows
back.
now.
Can I
Oh
just say that
no.
all of that was gone?
Oh no. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. It's like, oh no, we're back to the cursed mic.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out if it's always when I go on my computer and do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to try to figure out what the answer is. Hold on. Because tonight is not the night that we want that happening.
Amen.
Oh,
Well,
gosh.
while you figure that out, I'll do our normal introduction. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Black Prose Club, where Black lives, Black books, and Black authors have always mattered. We are currently in week 3 of our Nekkid Readathon, and this week's theme is retellings. And so, with that being said, hi, I'm Brittany, aka Melanin Eclectic.
And can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm Oshale of Oshi Reads, that is about to move her location.
While she's doing that, shout out to our other partner, Troy Nicole, who was totally ready for this conversation today, but things came up.
Yes.
I'm happy to say that I have not started any books yet. Today was a long day at work, so I didn't get to post the recommendations. But after this, you guys will see some recommendations for some retellings. Me and Oshale are reading Snow White and the Seven Hustlers.
Yes.
So if you are interested, that is a book.
Yes.
As Deja pointed
Or
out, I'm
it's
excited
2
to
books
hear
right
about
now.
Snow White and the Seven Hustler. Yeah, like I'm very excited. Also, as always, if you have other retellings that you've read or you're interested in reading or you grabbed, leave a comment on Instagram because there are people looking for recommendations. I think we know that this is an interesting one, so it's going to take some digging. I was hoping we were going to have an author pop up like, "Hey, I write these."
Right.
Nobody's popped up yet, so we'll just keep
Not
waiting.
yet. We still have time.
Right. So today's lovely topic, and I'm really happy with this title. In honor of retellings, today's topic is You Gonna End Up Single. A retelling of the 1950s narrative of the modern woman. It sounds like a dissertation.
It really does.
I think that's why I like it so
So,
much.
where to even begin? I feel like this is a threat that is held over women's heads basically from the day after your 25th birthday. It starts being held over your head. And the older you get, either unpartnered or unmarried, for heterosexual women, the worse that this threat gets, and like the more vitriol you're exposed to, the more like this idea of there's something wrong with you, that you're defective in some way. And then I feel like if you're actually one of those people that dares to say that you're either happy or single, or you have dealt with so many negative relationship experiences with men that you're now in this space of like healing, going to therapy, doing the work, then it's almost like you're seen as, it's almost like you're proving them right that you're defective, and then it's almost like you're seen as a joke. And so
Right.
that's why for me, this article coming out was so validating to something that women have been feeling for so long. I was just like, ah, we're not crazy. Like, y'all have been gaslighting us for centuries.
Tell
And
them
by
what the
y'all, I
article is
mean
for the people
men
who
and the
don't know.
patriarchy. Okay, so for those who are unaware, Psychology Today came out with an article on August 9th, and it's called The Rise of Lonely Single Men. And it was based on research done by Greg Matos, who is a psychologist, and he's also a former Marine. Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason why I even know that is because apparently after he came up with the article, and the article of course caused like all this uproar on social media and people were losing their minds, he started getting death threats from men.
What?
Yes, this man started getting death threats and hate mail from men. So he finally had to come out and he put out this video where he was basically just like, guys, I'm just telling you to like be the best version of yourselves. Like that's literally all I'm telling you. I'm telling you to up your relationship skills. Like a relationship is kind of like a job, and if you don't have the skills for a job, you don't get hired. So up your skills. He was basically like, and then I guess like some men were calling him like a simp and like,
Of
like
course.
yeah, and
Of
trying to
course.
say that he was like effeminate in some way or weak or something like that. So he kind of threw in there that he was a part of the Marine Corps, and he was just kind of like, he basically was just like, don't try me because I can kill you. Like I might seem all soft, but do not try me. But yeah, he literally had to come out and like, speak to men and just say, chill out. Like I'm literally just telling you to be better. That's it.
Like, did they read the article or did they just read the title? Because I feel like if you read the article, he's not saying anything crazy or demeaning to men at all. He's literally just saying women, cis hetero women want more than just a dude with a job.
This is what I think. I think that women have evolved so quickly in the last 50 years that men have not been able to keep up. They are still expecting women of today to still to still be making the same moves that our mothers were making and our grandmothers were making. And what they fail to recognize is that our mothers and our grandmothers were making those moves because they didn't have a choice.
But they were
They
also
didn't
ahead
have
of the time.
options. What?
I was like, I think about that. Like, our grandmothers were literally doing literally everything they could, like within
Yeah.
their realm.
They didn't
And
have a lot of options.
psh, my mother is why I'm here like this now. Shoot.
Yeah.
And my daddy did have to step up. But I just like, I don't know. I feel like, because I mean, social media has literally warped this entire idea, obviously. So it's this idea that somehow, well, there's two sides. One side is, you know, yes, women like us are looking for more than just a man with a job because I'm a woman with a job. So, like, okay, like, what else are you doing with your life? On the other hand, there's the other side of the world that's like, oh, well, y'all are too busy trying to be masculine. And if you guys weren't so masculine, then you'd be in a relationship. And it's just like, what exactly do you mean by masculine? And then the first thing they say is like, women want to wear the pants in the relationship. Women want women, they're out here getting degrees instead of keep taking care of the home and having kids. And it's just like, I just want to understand something. In a world where inflation has gone up, what, 60%,
Mm-hmm.
but our paychecks have remained the same.
Right. Exactly.
What are you
Exactly.
doing as the partner who wants this 1950s idea of a woman? What are you doing to ensure that I can stay home?
I just feel like this conversation is lacks a lot of nuance, and also
Yeah,
just to me it comes off very ignorant, right? Because in third world countries, men and there is a social, like once you're below a certain social class, men and women have been working alongside each other for centuries. Like
yeah,
it's called, if both your parents don't work, there's not going to be any food. And at times the kids work too. And
right.
you don't hear those men going on and on about how their women are masculine because they're working together to feed themselves and clothe their children and make and create some type of better life for their families. So that argument to me is very first world problems to me. Like
Mm.
it lacks nuance, it lacks scope, it's very narrowed, and it always just makes me laugh. And then just more on a logical sense, it rubs me the wrong way because it always makes me think that the men that kind of tout these ideas only see women as a function in their lives
They are.
and as an object, because at the end of the
They
day, they
do.
don't see women as people. Like at the end of the day, as a person, you need to have some type of purpose, whether that be a career, a job, something about yourself that says that you're accomplishing something for your own self-worth, for your own well-being, and literally for your survival. Because as an adult, you need to live on your own, be self-sufficient, pay your own bills, and that requires a job, whether you be male or female. That has nothing to do with masculine
Gender.
or feminine. Like
Right.
it's very strange to me, and I don't really understand it. The world we live in today, most men cannot afford for their wives to be quote unquote feminine or to have the old gender roles. They can't afford to live off of one income. They can't afford it. Like statistically, if we're talking about the men in our community, statistically, they literally can't afford it. We out earn them statistically. Not, I don't want to say
Yes.
all, but just based on the statistics, we
Based on the
are
average.
we have more higher education than them. So therefore that translates to making more than
Higher
them,
paying
having
jobs.
higher paying jobs, things of that nature. So I'm not trying to say it in a derogatory way. I'm literally just speaking facts. Like people can go and look up these statistics. They're there. So this argument is it strikes me as a way to like fear monger women to accepting lower standards because men don't want to do
It
better.
is. I also think it's a massive way to lack accountability. Um,
Yes.
because acknowledging flaws is something that takes emotional intelligence.
Yes.
And because of the community, because of our community and how like we've really been trying to break down generational trauma, there is a lot more generational trauma on, well, I'm only speaking for the Black men community thing. So in our community, Black men are taught to suppress their emotions except for anger.
Right.
And they're taught, men don't cry, men don't do this. So there is an emotional ineptitude within our community, that's perpetuated in this patriarchy, this patriarchal idea that that's what makes a man.
Right.
And so it just continues to repeat itself. And now it's been manifested in a way where instead of men seeing an opportunity to change and to rise above it, I'm not saying all, because there are some men who have recognized this as a problem and have started working on themselves and seeking therapy and, recognizing those red flags that they present with that type of stuff. But there are a group of men who, instead of acknowledging that they need to step their game up, send death threats to a psychologist.
Isn't that insane?
That's crazy. Like, I have read multiple articles where it said Black women who make over a certain amount of money will be alone forever. And I have never thought, let me go look up the name of the person who wrote this article and send them a death threat. Like, I've never like,
I mean, I
I'm
just think
still stuck
that
on that.
it's crazy. And he's also a relationship counselor, which just is the icing on the cake of this whole this whole
Right.
situation. Um I lost my train of thought. I was gonna say something, but I think that men have existed in a world, well, patriarchy, but have existed in a world where women have accepted less since the dawn of time because we needed men for survival. And now that women have agency and are able to own businesses and land and have bank accounts and have their own homes and things of that nature, men have not yet mentally caught up to this fact. And so now what they're trying to do, and obviously not all men, but what a lot of men try to do is try to gaslight women into thinking, well, your standards are too high. You need to lower them. Well, you're masculine because you're a CEO or a business owner. Nobody wants that. We've heard that
Yes.
rhetoric, right? Of like,
It's
well,
an
you're successful.
inferiority thing.
Oh my goodness. This almost took me out. So I was scrolling on the streets of YouTube and I ran across this live
Not you
stream.
scrolling on the streets of YouTube.
Yes. Yes. And I
Okay.
ran across this live stream where this
Oh
man's okay,
God.
it was a debate. So there's this gentleman called Themis, and he has a channel called
Oh no. Oh,
Themis
Shalay,
and
wait, your mic is acting up. Say that
Thought.
part again.
I don't know if anyone's ever.
Oh no. Oh, Shalay,
Can
your
you hear me?
sound. It's broken. Okay, try that again.
Can you hear me?
Now we can. I'm just like, not when she starts to go on
Okay.
on
Where
like
did
the
I go out at?
information. You went out at you were cruising down the streets on YouTube's for.
Okay. So I ran across this live stream from this gentleman's channel. His name is Themis. I don't
Okay.
know if anyone's ever run across his channel, but he has this channel called Themis and Thought.
Okay.
And he's a very intellectual type of content creator, but he has debates on his channel all the time. So he had this debate with this gentleman that literally said he does not want to date a woman that owns her own home.
What was the reason?
Because he just, oh, he, first of all, he spoke in circles and could not really give a solid reason, which led a lot of people in watching to just, summarize that he has low self-esteem. But he was just like, well, I wasn't a part of purchasing that house. And what if I don't like it? And then this is the kicker. He said, well, what if I can't afford to keep up the house? And everyone's like, but it's her house that she bought.
Like
And if
she
she
bought
bought
it,
it,
which means
then
she could
obviously
afford.
she can afford it. So
Oh my gosh.
essentially, this gentleman wants a woman to downgrade her life to
To
fit his life, which is his, standard of living, which is clearly lower than hers.
triggered.
He would
Triggered.
like her to completely downgrade herself. Everything that she's accomplished, he would like her to
Oh
minimize
my God.
that and take several steps down in order to meet him. And then this man still wanted to lead his home, still wanted her to, be feminine and submit. I know that's very triggering language,
I
so I
really
apologize.
hate that word.
I apologize for anyone that's just gotten triggered, but he still wanted her to submit to him and let him lead. Meanwhile, he wants her to, and he was like, even better if she's open to selling it. I was like, oh,
But where would does he have a place for them to stay?
his apartment.
Oh, look, okay. All right, I'm obviously triggered. So I'm gonna try to control my triggers right now.
But I'm
Obviously,
just saying that
I've
this
experienced
mindset is
this.
not uncommon.
It's not because I've experienced this, and not only have I experienced it from conversations with men, I've actually experienced it with conversations from my family. Like not my immediate family,
Wow.
but my extended family. Um, Even comments like I'm on FaceTime showing them the house because I'm excited. And I've gotten comments like, well, what are you gonna do when you get a man? I was
Stop
like,
it.
I'm confused. They're like, do you really expect him to move into your house? I was like, well, if his house is better, we can just use this one as a rental property.
Exactly. That's
And
common sense.
they were like, well, what if he doesn't have a house? Then why would he not move in with me? I don't
Yeah, it
understand.
makes no
And
sense.
they were like, it's gonna take a real man to want to move in with you. And I was like, we have got to stop doing
Ooh.
this because I'm very proud of the house that I bought because I mean it's the same price as the rent that most people are paying for apartments. So I'm
Yes,
very happy with the
agreed.
house that I bought. And I didn't buy it with the thought process of, oh my God, this is totally going to take me out of the running for getting a man. It was literally just like, I want a house. I got one. And the house is big enough that I can hold my family and have my friends over. Like, it's a house. It's
Yeah,
not a freaking death warrant.
it's not. And also, why would you want to be with somebody that doesn't look at whatever that you're doing together, whether it be moving into your house or, putting away money to buy a bigger house and then using your house as a rental property? Why would you ever want to date somebody that would look at doing something like that as unmasculine or unmanly when you are literally looking for somebody to build a life with together in a partnership sense? Not for somebody to lord something over you or want you to lower and reduce your standard of living in order to appease their ego.
I have a theory about it because obviously I think about this stuff way too often. And because social media, they always talk about how they want a woman to submit. Ugh. And so my rebuttal question to this is, how are you going to lead? Because if you're stuck on this old ideals of gender roles and what that type of marriage was back in a time where I had no rights,
Mm.
and then you're taking that ideal and putting it in a time where I actually don't need you to live. Like I
Right.
no longer need your permission to do anything. Like the women before me have paid the dues to where I can sign my name on the dotted line and my name has as much power as any man.
Exactly.
So if you're still holding on to this, I'm going to put large quotes around the phrase traditional. I call it the 1950s idea of leading in a modern world. We're obviously going to continue to clash because another
Agreed.
famous thing they always go is like, well, who's going to build the furniture in your house? I'm like, you can't even change a tire, bro.
Nope. And
So
you can
like,
actually
you
have people
want to
come in to
lead.
put your furniture together.
Yeah, it's like you want to lead. So tell me the plan. Because we not just going off vibes. We
Nope.
not just gonna see how it goes.
Nope.
We not just taking time to get to know each other. Like I want a plan. And I'm
Agreed.
obviously a planner. So go ahead. If you and I are together and we are talking about having a life together, and you are talking about you want these kind of roles, okay, what's the plan? And I
Right.
don't mean, oh, well, in a year we can just assess it and see where we are. No, boo boo. I need a 5-year plan. What's the goals? What are we working towards? If you can't give me a plan for me to follow, how dare you ask me to lead when you are walking in the dark?
Mm. You
Which
said a
causes
whole
a whole lot of
sermon.
other problems
It does.
because at this point, I'm told that I'm being emasculating at this point because there are some men who, when we have this conversation, they automatically take that as me attacking them. Whereas, again, like the article, I'm just saying step up.
But the article brings up really important stuff about them lacking relationship skills. And I believe there's a part of the article, let me just read it by verbatim so I don't misrepresent anything that was said. But it says, few men, or it's okay, so let me just read this little part right here. It says, with so many, let me see if I can paraphrase this. Essentially, it's saying that there is a large amount of men who are lonely and single, and it uses an example of the dating apps where it says 62% of the users are men, and that the women are overwhelmed by how many options that they have. So they usually just don't choose anyone, which of course leaves the men losing out once again. And then it says, with so many options, it's not surprising that women are increasingly selective. So then it says they prefer men who are emotionally available, good
Yes, Lord.
communicators, and share
Yes, Lord.
similar values. For men, this means a relationship skills gap that, if not addressed, will likely lead to fewer dating opportunities, less patience for poor communication skill, and longer periods of being single. So essentially, what you said about how, you just expressing your feelings, automatically they paint you as being emasculating or, too masculine or not being able to submit or all these things. To me, it just further proves what this article is saying is that they lack emotional intelligence
They
and
sent that
are
man death
unable,
threats. We know they lack emotional intelligence.
and they're unable to communicate because any form of communication coming from a woman is seen as a threat. And that's where the name calling comes out, where the derogatory terms come out, because they can't simply just have a conversation with you about how you feel. Whatever it is that you're feeling is always going to be seen as negative and is always going to be seen as something to, address with their anger and vitriol. And to me, it reminds me of when I was a nanny and I had to
I
deal
think
with
you would have been a
toddlers.
nanny.
And
Oh,
toddlers don't have emotional intelligence yet, right? They're like 2, 3, 4 years old. They cannot think logically. They cannot process their emotions. So they tend to go from high to low to high to low with their emotional responses. They just react, right? They don't know how to sift through things. They don't know how to, it's our job as their caregivers, parents, nannies, grandparents, whoever is around, to kind of help them along this journey of processing their emotions. That's why we have time out. That's why we, I remember this one
Take
kid,
deep breaths.
we used to do the deep breaths and the count to 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it just takes me back to that time of my life. It's like, are you a toddler or are you an adult? Because all I'm getting is all this anger and vitriol being thrown at me, and I'm trying to have a conversation, but it's just not going through.
I mean, I can even think about the last time that I tried online dating. I don't even know how long ago that was, because literally the year 2020 to the year 2022 feels like one very long year.
Very,
So
very
I don't know
long.
when I got on, but I just remember like the last 3 encounters with men on the apps that just made me like delete the apps. There was one guy, we matched, and nowhere on his profile does it say that he has children.
Right.
But I asked the question, do you have any children? Are there any children out there in the world that you are not taking care of currently? Because those are 2 different questions that will get you 2 different answers sometimes. So you're welcome.
Wow.
And he's like, "Oh, I have 5 kids."
I know.
5? You want me to jump into a situation with 5 children? And then I'm like,
Yeah.
I told him, I was like, "Oh, like on my profile it says that, I don't want to date somebody with kids." And he's like, "I don't know why you're just going to be alone, because I don't understand how you expect a woman in her 30s to find a guy who doesn't have kids. And I
They
love
exist.
my little." And he like got really like defensive. Like I looked back on the app and he had like written like 3 paragraphs
Oh my goodness.
about why it was stupid of me not to want to give him a chance because he has children and he's not ashamed of his littles. And, I'm just ignorant. I'm probably not even really cute in real life. And I was like, bruh, like, I'm allowed to say that I don't want to deal with you and your 5 kids, because I'm going to be honest with you. I want you to take the time needed for your kids. You have 5
Mhm.
of them. So where
Yeah,
does
that's
that
a
leave
lot.
time for me? And also, if you got a whole lot of time for me, I'm side-eyeing you because you got 5 kids. So how are you making all this time?
It's so interesting because that whole like kids thing, like men being angry when they have children and you not wanting to deal with them anymore in a
Right.
stage of, and I'm not talking about like you've been on a few dates, although I've heard those stories of like women dating men for months and then finding out that they have kids.
Oh
But
my
I'm
gosh.
talking about in the talking initial phases where you're just, having general conversation and getting to know one another, when really you shouldn't take offense that deeply because you really don't know the other person very much.
Right.
So
Like it's just a getting to know you thing. Like it's okay if you're getting to know somebody and you realize they have things you don't want. Like you're allowed to make that decision. And as long as, well, rephrase, as long as you're polite about it, like don't be a douche.
well, yeah, don't be rude. But I always find that their understanding of, a woman's stance of not wanting to date a man with children is very, very narrow
Mhm.
and lacks understanding that people come from various backgrounds and cultures. Like for me, for example, I could never bring a man home to my parents who has children unless he was a widower. Because in my
Mm.
culture, for a man to have children and not to have married the mother is seen as like the biggest disgrace. Like that man would be looked at as less than a man.
Ooh.
So that's just not something that would ever fly in my culture. And it's just, I would never feel comfortable bringing home somebody like that to my parents. And it's just not a battle that I'm willing to fight. Everybody chooses their battles. There are
Right.
some second generations that are like, I don't care. I'm going to, you know, do it anyway. I really like them. Da, 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 da. I would never even put myself in a situation to like somebody like that. Like it's just a no
Right.
go from jump.
Yeah. Like, the now that I'm at a place in my life where it's just like I'm really not I'm not changing what I want to fit the man that's in front of me.
I think that's like a good little,
I think
you
so
know,
too. I mean, in my
that's a
20s,
good take.
I might have let some things slide in my 20s that, left me with a therapy bill. So I'm not trying to do that anymore.
Not left you with a therapist.
Listen, I have learned so much dating, and don't get me wrong, I still love my men. But the dating experiences that I've had have taught me that like there are just some things that we're just not going to negotiate on. Children, emotional intelligence, Um, Simple, like I asked one man, I said, "What is your love language?"
He didn't
You
know
know
what
what
you were
that man
talking about.
Are you ready for the answer that
No,
this man gave
I'm
me?
not ready. I'm not ready at all. But go ahead, please.
He said his love language was he liked to make love.
Okay, this is a perfect segue. This is a perfect segue into what I wanted to talk about. Okay.
Okay.
So, in conjunction to everything that we've been talking about in regards to the article and how that kind of intersects with our real life experience, what has really taken the internet by storm is this article has really highlighted the growing movement of women choosing to be single and not date men altogether. Um, and, you know, for a lot of women, singleness starting out is like not being a choice, right? They're out there in the dating world, they're
Right.
trying to find a partner, and having so many disastrous experiences, encountering so many narcissists, encountering abuse, and all of these horrible things happening, finally forcing them into singleness until the point where they actually choose singleness. I saw a lot of women online stepping forward saying, you know what, I was either forced into singleness because I couldn't find a man who wasn't abusive, narcissistic, a cheater, a liar, and then just the list just went on. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Or you had women who were like, you know what, I got out of my divorce and I realized for 15 years I basically had an extra child and I was
Ooh.
doing all the labor in the relationship and I just couldn't do it anymore. I was completely drained and I'm divorced now and I've never had so much peace and I'm never going back. I'm choosing not to date because I'm just too happy with my life the way it is. And I'm choosing to completely opt out of romantic relationships altogether. So there's now this growing movement of women who are stepping forward I guess they've been silent all these years, but to basically stepping forward to articulate, oh, I've been celibate for 7 years. Oh, I've been celibate for 10 years. Oh, I don't date at all. Oh, I stopped dating when I was 35. Well, I've been divorced and I haven't dated since. And instead of it being this sob story of, I don't want to die alone and I have all these cats and I'm miserable, right? Which is what men
Right. Which is
tell women
the
that they,
picture they think is
right.
happening.
These women instead are talking about how much peace they have, how much they've, worked on themselves, how they're living their best lives, how they don't have pee on the toilet seat or on the floor around the toilet seat. Like,
I was not ready for that.
like these women are just euphoric. And I was not expecting to see that response to the article, I was expecting to see, obviously the women being like, aha, you guys try to gaslight us and say that we were going to die alone, but it's y'all. I was expecting to see that.
I mean, while we can be petty, there is a thing. Like I haven't dated since my last breakup because my last breakup was so traumatizing.
That situation
And
was wild.
yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm never
I
going to
have
talk
no
about that
words.
on here, but like just know my last breakup really sent me over into a place. But like now I'm what, 2 years removed from it.
Mm-hmm.
I have not tried to date anyone after, I think, like 6 months into the pandemic. I
Yeah.
decided that I was going to, one, I was no longer going to try, um because I was looking at it as like single by force, which puts
Mm-hmm.
this negative connotation of like I have to find somebody,
Right.
whereas it was like, girl, like what do you want to do?
Yes. Yes. That's kind
And so I've
of
been
what
doing
led
that and
me.
it's been quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally what led me to delete all the dating apps and just never look back, is just like realizing that I didn't actually want to do it, but I was starting to feel like it was my only option.
Oh, I felt obligated to do it.
Oh, that's a perfect word. Obligation,
Mhm.
pressure. And then it's like you go into this like weird place where you almost feel like a desperation.
Yep. That's what,
And
to me,
it's
that's what
only
it felt like.
That's exactly what it felt like. And I just woke up one day and I was like, I don't actually enjoy doing this. And I was never a girl that enjoyed dating anyway. I dated a lot in my 20s, but it was never something that I enjoyed. It sounds weird, but I guess for me, like my alone time is so precious to me. I'm an introvert. And I also have a very low tolerance for bullshit The second I see a red flag, I'm out. Like, I am like so out, and I don't feel any type of, you know, I don't feel guilt about it at all. I have literally left men at the table at restaurants and just never gone back, and made sure to tip my waitress with some cash. That's why I always have cash on me. I learned that in my 20s. I would cash the waitress near the kitchen or by her little kiosk where she's putting the food in, and I would give her money, and I'd be like, so I'm ditching this date, and they would help me go out the back way.
I can't. No, I
So
mean,
I just have a very low tolerance for men's bullshit to begin with. And I think once I entered my 30s, again, like you, Brittany, after a breakup that just sent me over the edge, that happened when I was like in my late 20s to when I almost got married to this person, and the breakup kind of sent me over the edge. And then after that, I was just like, I never want to be that close to losing my sanity over a human being ever again in my life.
oh my
And
gosh, a word.
I started to prioritize myself and my peace and my happiness, and I started to create boundaries and to respect those boundaries, and I just have never looked back. Like, I really just can't imagine going back to that girl who was so gullible and easily swindled. Mm-mm.
I think because obviously when I read this article, surprisingly, I didn't want to just be like, ah, told y'all are
Right.
trash. It did make me do some self-reflection, and like I realized the reason I was like in my 20s, I was so obsessed with dating because I was so obsessed with this idea that I had to be married before I was 30. Because after
Oh yeah.
30, nobody's gonna want you. Because that's the stuff that
Right.
they tell you to
Mm-hmm.
like to make you want to put up with their shit. Excuse my language,
Yes.
but I mean that's really what they do. They give you this idea like you have this small window to be desirable, and then once you cross that threshold, it's out of luck for you. Like you're just going to be a spinster. So you should just be grateful for what you have, even if what you have is terrible.
So terrible. Like, I have heard so many horror stories from women I know who are in long-term relationships or have husbands. And it's kind of like we said in the last live, they're not making it look very fun, straight up.
No, like I mean,
So
I
I'm
see
just
some
like,
beautiful marriages, and I'm
well,
always like, I'm
yes,
so
of course.
happy for y'all, but like also y'all are the minority.
That's what you kind of realize, because I have friends also who are in great relationships, and it's not about romanticizing everything, because everyone knows like partnership is hard, and it's a lot of work, and it's something you have to like work out every day. But it shouldn't make you miserable. It shouldn't make you feel like you're in it alone. You shouldn't be in a relationship but still be lonely.
Right.
You shouldn't feel as if your needs aren't being met and the person doesn't support you. Like, there's just so many things that you shouldn't feel in a
Yeah.
genuine partnership with a man that women are feeling, which this article addresses their lack of relationship skills, and so it makes sense.
Because
But
they're still holding on to this idea that all they have to do is make money. And a lot of them aren't even making enough money to think that.
I know.
Sorry. Just
It's true though. It's
woo.
true. It's very interesting because I remember growing up, it was the norm to, the few friends I had whose parents were not divorced, it was the norm to see the mom doing everything
Yeah.
and the dad just showing up. Like, men get applauded for just showing up.
Or how like women will be like, yeah, my husband's babysitting. What?
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's
Your
terrible.
husband's babysitting? Your girl, what? That's like on TikTok, there's this idiot going around where he posted this video of himself interviewing this guy who had been married for like 20 years. And he's
Yes.
like, why don't women want to cook and clean and like be feminine anymore? And the married guy's response was, because they're tired.
Yes.
And the dude was like, what? He was like, because they're tired. They've been at work all day.
Yep.
Aren't you tired when you come home from work? And he
Exhausted.
like avoided the question and he was like, well, what about the roles? And the married dude was like, what are you talking about? Like, there are no roles. Like, if I don't do it, she does it. And he's like, well, who's going to put the stuff together? And it's like, my dude, they're directions.
Yes.
Like,
I mean,
this
what do these
idea that we
men
can't do things is wild.
well, I mean, I put all my furniture together with the
I
exception
mean,
of my
who else is
couch.
going to do it?
Yeah.
Casper?
Casper the friendly ghost. The friendly furniture putting together ghost.
Right. Like, thanks, Casper. Here's some goat
Oh
cookies.
my goodness, that's hilarious. I cannot. No, but it's
That's
true
my
though. It's
response to people though, because I'll be like, bro, they'll be like, um, oh wow, how did you get this stuff upstairs? Movers.
yep,
Oh
it's
wait, you mow
amazing.
your own grass? No, I pay somebody because I'm lazy.
Right.
Like, bro, like
It's
you do
2022.
understand.
We're
Right.
not in the
And
dark
then
ages.
it's always wild to me because I'm like, who do y'all think taught me to be like this?
Your dad.
Because they love to assume that my daddy's not in the picture, right? And it's like, oh, baby, my daddy's my Superman. Like, you know why he taught me to do all this stuff? Because he knew y'all were dusty.
Not Dusty.
Like,
Every time
he
someone says
knew.
that, it always makes me chuckle.
He knew y'all were dusty. So he taught me how to do everything by myself. And then the stuff that I was not physically able to do, he showed me how to go ahead and get somebody else to do it. So it's like,
Right.
I'm not looking for a handyman. Granted, it would be nice if I had a man that could build some furniture. Because listen, that would be amazing. But
Yes.
like, I'm not looking at a man and going, oh my God, he could totally build my entertainment center. I want him.
It's
Like,
nice, but it's not necessary because you can pay
it's
somebody
a
for that.
perk.
It would be
It's not a
better
deal breaker.
it would be better to have somebody who emotionally is there for you and
Oh my
knows how
God.
to listen to you and supports you. And when you come home from a long day at work, there's like a glass of wine waiting for you, and not obviously it doesn't have to be every night, and you can do the same for him. But you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
showing real support and care for the person that you're supposed to be in this romantic partnership with
Right.
versus just expecting them to walk in the house and automatically, in a
I dream
creepily
of
Stepford
Jeannie.
wife way, snap on their apron and be like, "Let me put the loaf of bread in the oven, honey." Like,
Right. I
what
have
do
a
you think this
5-course
is?
meal just ready for you. Like, no, like I feel like if I'm looking for my ideal partner makes he makes enough money to where he's happy. And he was doing it before he met me. He's also
Mhm.
very
I
confident
like
in
that.
what he's chosen to do with his life. So that when he sees me
Yes.
doing mine, he doesn't become a hater, he becomes a supporter.
Oh, I love that.
Like, there's so
Yeah,
many
it's kinda
different
like
ways to lead and support that has nothing to do with this 1950s ideal that I'm
yeah.
always
No, I
floored that
agree.
they're not thinking that way.
Well, I think it's kind of lazy because it's a way to opt out of facing your demons. It's a way to opt out of, dealing with your childhood trauma. It's a way to opt out of actually bettering yourself. I think women as a whole, we are very, very good at working on ourselves, and we always want to be better. And we're always reading the self-help books and going to the seminars and, going to therapy and getting the counseling. Like we are
Having
very
discussions like
much
this.
yes, we're very much into self-improvement, and I think that in a weird way, men are not. Like some men are, but most of them are not. They don't think, "Wow, I really need to deal with my traumas and go to therapy, and I should probably just like really get counseling for this issue." And you know what? I've noticed that I don't even clean under my fingernails. Something I need to change. Like the simplest
Okay.
things.
Well, I mean, there are multiple reasons for this. Again, I do think that there are some generational hierarchy, patriarchal type factors that play into this. Like, we do recognize that, especially in our community, women are taught to make themselves better for their mate. Like, we're taught this kind of idea
Ooh, you're
way
right.
too young.
You're right.
Men are not taught that. Men are taught you're a man, you don't cry. Real men have jobs and take care of their family. They usually don't go too much further than that. There are
Yeah.
very few men that recognize emotional competency as an actual trait of a man.
And you know what the interesting thing is, today's modern woman, if you will, that is the number one thing that we want in a man now,
Yeah,
is
because we're
emotional
tired of trying
competency.
to play Tetris in a conversation.
Yeah, we want a man who is emotionally available, emotionally intelligent, and who's going to be there for us and truly be able to listen to us and support us. Listening is huge because there's nothing more irritating than being in a relationship where you feel like you're constantly talking at someone and they're never
Oh, or having to
hearing you,
constantly repeat yourself.
constantly repeating yourself and saying the same thing over and over again because it's going in one ear and out the other. That's sad, actually. That's actually
Yeah.
really sad. I can't imagine living a life with somebody who never just listens to you or listens to you only 25% of the time. That
I
would be
also
horrible.
think that with our generation and the generation after us, we're the first generation where like we can come out the gate banking.
Yes.
Like depending on your degree, you can kind of skip the struggle bus era.
Right.
And
That's true.
so like, okay, I can only speak for myself. So I can't, I will not date somebody who is not living at a standard that can match mine already. And I know there's going to be people like, oh, she sound like a gold digger. She ain't trying to ride for her man. Wasn't nobody riding with me when I was doing mine.
Nobody was shooting with you in the gym,
So why
Brittany.
do I have to go backwards for you to move forward? Why don't you fast forward and catch up to me? Because I want to go on vacations. There are
Mm-hmm.
times where I just get real reckless with my paycheck because
Mm-hmm.
I can. And if I'm with you, like I want you to join, but like I'm also not going to be paying for everything because like
No.
I want to be wine and dine. Like just because I can do everything doesn't mean I want to do everything.
I'm going to say something that is going to be hurtful to some.
Oh God.
I do not date men who don't have a college degree. And the only caveat to that is that if they do not have a college degree, then they have some type of skill set that did not require for them to obtain a college degree. Like they went to technical school, you know, they're a coder, or so they only had to go to like 2 years, take 2 years of some course, like something to that nature. Like, oh, they drive trucks, so they
Nothing
just had
wrong
to
with
get a
that.
CDL license, or they own their own like air and heating company, like things like that. Okay, great. But you had to acquire a skill to do what you do, and you had to reach a certain level of competency within that skill set in order for you to be successful. So that's like my only caveat. And I'm sorry, I do not feel bad about
I don't know what you're apologizing for because that sounds valid. Because
it.
again, dating down gets you nowhere.
Yeah,
The
it's
only
just
thing he'll end
not.
up doing is he will feel nothing but animosity towards you. He will spend majority of the relationship trying to bring you down to his
Yes.
level. Um, you'll start feeling guilt. Like, don't do it. So I think that's fine. That's why I say like I need a man who's very confident and happy in what he's doing
Yup.
because I'm a very ambitious person. So it only makes sense to be with somebody who's ambitious because he's gonna hold me back if he's not.
And I think that that's very difficult because the dating
Yeah.
market is flooded with these men who are, happy just delivering food for Uber, or just, oh, I work at UPS, which, I mean, legitimate job delivering packages, but it's like, is this your long-term plan? Like, what are you, there's only so
Mm,
much you can do as a
The
package
overall
delivery.
lesson, the
Yes.
overall circle we just went back to, men with the
Yes.
plan is what we want.
Thank you. Because it's
It just
like,
full circled again.
it's literally the foundation. What is the plan
Yeah,
for your life? What are you trying to do? What are
because
you trying to do?
listen,
Are you
I
trying to
will
work at
let
this
you build our
kiosk at the
life.
mall? Are you going to work at
Yeah,
this
I will
kiosk
let
at
you
the
build our
mall?
life if you have a plan
Agreed.
because that means you're serious. Like I can't take a man serious. Like for example, this guy I never dated. I just met him when I was out with friends. And my friends gas me up for no reason. It could literally be like a rainy day on a Tuesday.
I'm
And
so
they'll be
sorry.
like,
This
Brittany
comment.
does X, Y, and Z. Brittany does da 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 da. And it was a guy there who it was very obvious he felt intimidated. Because the first thing he said was, well, if you do all that, what is a man gonna do for you?
Oh,
And so I looked
jeez.
at him and I said, "Why do you assume that there's not a man already handling me already?"
Oh,
I mean,
what?
granted, I was single at the time, but he didn't need to know that.
No, he did not.
And he's like, "Well, it just sounds like you try to do everything." I was like, "Why do y'all make it like what was I supposed to do from when I turned 18 and graduated high school until now when I'm 33? What was I supposed to do? Wait for you?"
You're supposed to be doing what they're doing, living off of a minimum wage job,
It's like I
living in their
understand,
mama's
you know,
basement.
we all start somewhere, but when are we going to start going somewhere though?
That's the question I have too.
Well, not those men have a plan. Their plan is to bum off women.
That's why I just started laughing when you were talking because
That
it's
is
just
not
too
me.
good.
If there are women that choose to do that, that's fine. Go find them. But that's like it was a dude. It was a dude in my DMs talking about I'm his future wifey, and he's got like 4 charges on his record. I'm like, what? What exact? Like, what's your plan? So, like, I
um,
just seriously asked. I said, "What makes you call? Like, why do you call me future wifey? What's the plan?" Oh, I'm gonna just see how it goes. How do you think
hmm
that you have the audacity to think that you and I are in the same playing fields, my guy? Because you can't even get a real job because of your record.
mm.
Like, there's no moving up for you. You are constantly going to be stagnated because of the decisions that you've already made before you even tried to act like you wanted me in your life. Granted, you had no chance, but it was the fact that you had the audacity to think that you did.
Look, this is the perfect segue into the Popeyes proposal.
What? Wait,
So there is this
what Popeye's
story that
proposal? Why do you do this? Like, what Popeye's proposal?
okay, so there was a story that went viral based on a New York Times article. So there is a section of New York Times where they always talk about like marriage and love stories and things of that nature. So a New York Times article came out about this Black couple, and when I tell you social media was in an uproar about this, man. So the article title is After a First Date at Popeyes, Marriage Was on the Menu. Long story short, I highly encourage you to go read this article. But it is about a woman in her 30s. Her name is Sharia Wade. And she was on Hinge and she was trying to meet up with this guy named Stevenson Boyce. And he canceled their first 2 dates, which to me, that's a red flag, but whatever.
I'd have been like, all
And
right, nope, never again.
their third date, he almost canceled too. And then she like was like, look, if you're calling to cancel again, then don't ever call again. And he was just like, well, could you meet me at the Popeyes parking lot in 5 minutes?
Huh?
Now, yes. Now she's 34 years old and he's 44 years old. Keep this in mind. This man is
Wait, back
44
up.
years old.
How old?
She's
How old is
34.
she? She's
34.
34 and he's 44.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So he's like, oh, could you meet me in the Popeyes parking lot in 5 minutes? So she met him in the Popeyes parking lot in 5 minutes, but they didn't even get Popeyes because the line was too long. So they went to KFC and they ate it in the car. And they also shared a sunset and a first kiss. And she's telling the story like it's so romantic, but things get worse. So they are married now. So, spoiler alert, they are married. And
Okay.
he decided to take his dusty ass to Instagram and make a post about them and about their wedding. Like he has a picture of him and her from their wedding day. And then he decided to go to Instagram. And I don't 100% remember his caption because I would have to go to Instagram to pull
I'm
it up.
very scared.
But essentially, his caption was like, you know, we met on Hinge and the rest is history. And he was like, you know, there was never any pressure to take her to any fancy dates or to wine and dine her, you know, just good conversation and shared goals. That was his caption.
Okay.
So people were getting upset that he's basically going online to advertise that she was desperate and he didn't have to put in any effort to getting her
Oh.
because he didn't have to wine or dine her. He didn't have to take her out to any dates or anything like that. And she was okay with just meeting him at a Popeyes parking lot and talking and, him not really putting much effort into it. Come to find out, she makes more money than him. He moved into her house, which we've already established is not a problem. But the real kicker is that the
There's
engagement
more.
ring that he proposed to her with was purchased by a friend of his.
Uh, um,
I think that fits perfectly into tonight's theme of just,
okay. So, okay, wait, okay.
okay, let's break it down. Okay.
Okay. I'm not going to bash it because if that's
Okay.
what she wants, that's what she wants.
Okay.
My
That's fair.
only issue is him parading it on social media like this is a one size fits all situation.
Okay.
Because if she has made the decision that that's what makes her happy, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to question her or bash her with her decisions.
Right.
Well, do I know damn well that ain't gonna work for me? Yeah, absolutely. Don't even try it
Right.
because there's absolutely no reason that you can't do for me what I'm already doing for myself. There's no reason.
Yes. Agreed.
But him parading it
Yep.
like, oh, I ain't have to do nothing. She was ready to go. Like, I ain't
Like
have to do
I
nothing for
got her
her.
on a bargain kind of thing. Like
Yeah, because he also
it's
like,
giving
okay,
me
so
weird
wait,
vibes.
he had a friend buy the ring.
Yes, he didn't even buy her the engagement ring
So, like, how
himself.
does this work? Like, the homeboy bought the ring with his credit and he's paying back the homeboy? Like,
It doesn't go into a lot of
how
detail, but yeah, he didn't buy the engagement ring himself. A friend bought it.
and again, I'm not gonna bash her. If that's what she wants and that's what she accepts, then that's the type of energy she's going to get. But I wish a motherfucker would.
Like I just kept coming back to him being 44. I was just like, "You, sir, you have been on earth too long to behave like this."
Too long.
Like,
I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. Also, Sharon asked, "What's the name of the article you are that we're talking about? Do you know the name of this article?"
yes. So this is in the New York Times and it's called After a First Date at Popeyes, Marriage Was on the Menu.
Okay.
And you can literally just Google it, it'll pop up.
Ooh, here's a question because I've been seeing
Yes.
this go around a lot on TikTok. So there are a lot of men that treat dating like it's transactional for vagina.
Yes.
And, we've all collectively come to the conclusion of like, just go get a sex worker. That's literally their job.
Mm-hmm.
But there are also a group of men who feel like they shouldn't, like, if they ask you out on a first date, you should be
Mm-hmm.
happy with like Starbucks or McDonald's or something
Mm-hmm.
where they don't have to put um, a large financial commitment to you for the first date. And so I have thoughts about this, but I would like to hear, how would you feel
Mm-hmm.
if you met a guy and you
Mm-hmm.
guys were talking, you exchanged numbers and he asked you out on a date
Mm-hmm.
and you told him to plan it
Mm-hmm.
and you're at work 15 minutes before lunch and you get a text message that says meet me at the Starbucks across the street.
I have no problem with Starbucks dates. I've been on quite a few of them. I actually feel like it's less pressure because something
I
about like a
agree.
dinner date the first time puts a lot of pressure on people to be on their best behavior. You get dressed up,
Agree.
so in a weird way, you put on a mask that's not even really who you are. It's very presentational.
Agreed.
And I think that it can even make you nervous or the other person nervous. Like it's just a lot of pressure. And then, of course, they're worried that the place that they took you to is not fancy enough, or maybe it's too fancy, or maybe you won't like the food. Like it's just a lot of pressure. So I feel like if this person is a stranger, like a complete stranger to you, and you don't know each other, you're not like, have friends in common or anything like that, then a coffee date is the perfect icebreaker because you could pay for your own coffees, although it's a nice gesture if he pays always, but you could get your own stuff. You could sit there and kind of meet in a very low pressure situation. And then there's only so long you could stay at a coffee shop, because I feel like
Fact.
what these men don't understand, that it's not about the money that you're spending on the date. It's about a
Time.
non-renewable resource, which is my time. Like, I'm not about to sit at a 2.5 hour, 3 hour, God forbid, 5 hour date with somebody where I'm just like, how do I leave? Like, how do I get out of here? Like, how do I wrap this up? Like,
We are really friends.
what do I need to do? Do I need to
we
just like
are we are
pass
totally
out and
friends.
then blame it on my low iron and be like, I have to go?
Not
Like,
do
what?
I pass out and blame it on my iron, ma'am.
I may have done that once or twice, but anyway.
Oh,
So
Shalay. You know,
that was a long time ago. That was like 10 years ago. I've
yo,
grown.
you
I've become
were
a better
like,
person.
I appreciate 20-year-old Oshale was ruthless. Not taking my iron depletion to get out of a date. Like,
It works really well. And then like you get your food for free because the manager of the restaurant's all like
Oshale,
concerned.
I'm dead. Okay. So
Okay, we won't get sidetracked.
I
But there's
actually think
only
I
go
think
ahead.
coffee dates are the best idea when I'm first
Okay.
meeting somebody.
Yeah.
I want to be
Because there's
visible.
only
I
so
watch
long
way
you
too many
can
Criminal Minds.
you think you're gonna get kidnapped or killed.
Listen, you meet me in a Starbucks, there's a lot of people and cameras.
That's very wow. You have really thought this through. Oh my
I
goodness.
know.
That's crazy. No, but you're right. I mean, you can never be too careful. There's so many women that have been killed from going on dates.
Exactly.
It's scary. Yeah, no, it's
It's
terrifying.
really creepy. I actually prefer to meet when I was dating, I prefer our first date be like an afternoon date versus a dinner date. Because
Yeah.
I want to see you in full light. Because
You
we
know
also
what?
know men take terrible pictures.
Yeah, they're not
So,
very
like, I need
photogenic
to
as a
see what it
whole.
looks like for real.
You know what makes a good date too is brunch, because if you really hit it off and you like each
Yes.
other, then you can just hang out the rest of the day, and then you can still dip out before it's nighttime and things get weird.
Actually, I had a really good first brunch. Like, we went to brunch as our first date, which I thought was kind of weird, but he was really talking up this one restaurant. And so I jokingly said, I know you're not about to sit here and talk about this restaurant and not invite me to it. And so that's how
Mm,
we ended up going. But then the date went really well. And we ended up actually going to, there used to be an area in Houston that had like a lot of older stores and stuff. And like thrifting was really, like, he was into thrifting. And that was
that's
actually
funny.
really fun. Like, I think about that kind of date. Like, those are the kind of dates that I'm totally down for. I drove myself to everything.
That's smart.
Shared my location with my sisters. They had his
Of
license
course.
plate number too because I definitely snapped the photo.
I do that all the time.
Right. So it's like I prefer when I'm getting to know you, like the first couple of dates, because I don't like texting all day
No.
with the person that I just met.
Yeah, because they're a stranger to you. This is what I really need men to grasp. I don't know you. Like, if I don't know you, I do not feel comfortable just texting you back and forth. Now you're sending me memes. You don't even know what my sense of humor is like. So this meme is really not funny. Like, you're taking up all my megabyte space on my phone. Like, stop it. I'm dead serious. Like,
I'm
I would
dead.
rather no, but I would rather have a phone conversation for 30 to 40 minutes, maybe like a cute little good morning, beautiful, good night text, and that's it until we get to know each other better and you actually know me and you know what I like and what type of person I am. It just comes off as very love bomby, stalkery, creepy. Like, it just turns me off because I'm just like, why did he just send me 6 texts in the last 2 minutes? Like, what is going on? Do you not have a life?
So
So
here's
yeah,
a
I can't.
question. How long? So, like, you meet a guy, you guys exchange numbers. How long from the meeting do you give him to ask you out before you see this as just not worth your time?
Okay, so I actually have a lot of leeway with this because I recognize, especially the older you get, because when you're young, like, you have a lot of you have more free time. So there's really no
Mhm.
excuse to not text or call someone right away. But when you're older, you have so many responsibilities. Maybe your career is really overwhelming. Maybe he's an accountant and it's tax season. Like, I don't fucking know. So I just give people more leeway. But if it's been like 2 weeks, and then you just send me a WhatsApp text, like, I'm blocking you automatically. Like, I think what's reasonable is, you know, it only took Jesus 3 days to raise back from the dead. Like, that's
I'm sorry. I wasn't ready.
no, but that's what I think about. I'm like, okay, the savior of mankind, it only took him 72 hours.
It
Like,
only
sir,
took Jesus 3 days. What's your excuse?
basically, like, anything past 3 days, I'm giving them the side eye. Because it's one thing if you're like,
Oh,
oh man, I got
God.
caught up at work, or
No
like I started
perfection.
binging, like, you know, like some show, like, understandable. I've been there too. Like, once I start binging a show, I lose all track of time. Like, I understand. But if it's been 3 days, it's been like a week, and you're sending me these weak text messages like, hey, what's up? Remember me? No, I don't remember you. Blocked. You know, it's like, it's been too long. The moment has passed. The moment is gone. So.
I'm sorry, that took me out. She said, Jesus came back in 3 days. So what's taking you so long to ask me out? That is,
It's
no,
the
but that's
truth.
actually like, that's a whole mood.
I have a 72-day or a
This man
72
was
hour
dead.
I have a 72-hour philosophy about life. I really do believe that it takes 72 hours for you to like acclimate to any situation in life, any curveball. It takes you about 3 days to mentally like wrap your mind around things. So that's why
Hmm.
that's like my cutoff point. Cause I'm just like, cause the first day you're in shock. The second day you're like going through all your emotions, your mind is spinning. By the third day, you started to adjust to whatever the situation is. You're like, okay, well, this is where we're at. What am I gonna do? So that's just my rule for life, my rule of thumb. 3 days. So if it's been 3 days and I haven't heard from you, it's not meant to be. Goodbye. Unless you were kidnapped or you were stuck in an elevator that was like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
In
unless it was some
between.
type of emergency and the fire department was involved or the police, like, there's no excuse. None.
Oh my gosh, I had that happen to me once. I met this guy and we really hit it off, and he invited me to the movies on like a Saturday matinee, and then was like, "Oh, we can go get lunch at the food truck area, da 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 da." Super excited for the date. The day of, I didn't hear from him. And
Oh,
he's like,
God.
"Oh, I forgot that I had my niece's birthday.
Hmm.
Like you didn't want me to miss my niece's birthday, did you?"
I hate when they do that.
And I'd be like, so let me get this straight. The whole time before this, you were texting me. We were communicating. I text you the day of to be like, so we're still on. And I get nothing because of your niece's birthday.
Which your phone was still on, it was still working, you were still receiving messages.
Right. Like I know about the niece's birthday because you were posting on your stories.
That's
So
crazy.
like I don't understand. And he's like, I just feel like you're blowing this out of proportion. Like we can go check the movie out later.
Mm.
Block. Then,
Yeah.
ironically, like a month or two later, I was visiting this church, and guess who I saw with his niece?
Him. Stop
Yeah.
it. Oh, that's so uncomfortable.
I will never forget that. Like, I remember being greeted by
Oh.
like two of the mothers of the church or something, and then like out the corner of my eye, I just felt somebody staring at me, and we made eye
Oh
contact. And I literally
no.
got up to go use the bathroom and left. I was
Yeah, I
like,
would have too.
nope,
I
nope.
would have too.
You
I've been
want
like,
nope, God, you
not
understand. I gotta
today.
go.
Not
I
today,
gotta go.
Satan. Not today. I had a
Oh
dude
my
ask
God.
to meet me for lunch. He showed up in dirty jeans with holes in them, hadn't shaved, was late. Nah, bro. Yeah, that's a definite no.
Oh, see, because like in the same argument where they're always like, I want women to be feminine, I always be like, I want you to be clean.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
didn't realize how many men like don't properly clean themselves until
A
this
lot.
generation got on social media.
A
And
lot
I
of
was
them
just
don't.
like forever ashamed. I was like, your mother should whoop you. Like, I know you're like 35, but she should whoop you.
But it's her fault because clearly she didn't
Also
expect.
that, but I was trying to give her some leeway because maybe she did teach him and he just chose not to listen because he thought it
That's
was
very
feminine.
true. Yeah. Or he's just
Because
lazy. I find that a lot of men are
or
lazy.
that.
Yeah. And they don't even want to take care of themselves out of pure laziness.
Yeah, and then the idea that like they don't have to take care of themselves because they're just going to get a woman to take care of them.
Ooh.
And that's
Yeah.
definitely one of the reasons why a lot of us are choosing no thanks.
I was literally thinking this in my brain. This is part of my you need to do your own laundry message. Like, I'm not doing that.
I would be horrified.
Well,
Also,
okay. There was this story of this woman who was married to this man who never properly wiped his
oh God.
area after going number 2, to the point where she was getting infections like after they were intimate and stuff. And she was literally calling into this dating show, this not dating show, advice show, that's run by this psychologist. That's a whole tangent that I won't go into, but she was essentially calling into this dating show or this advice show to ask the guy, the psychologist, what she should do. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And the psychologist was like, how old is your husband? He was in his 30s. And he was like, how long have y'all been married? They've been married for like 5 years. And he was like, and you still haven't found a way to tell him that he needs to step up his hygiene and he's literally giving you infections. And the woman was just like, I don't know how to tell him this. And I'm just like, oh,
First of all,
I had no words. I had no words.
First of all, what do you mean you don't know how to tell him? You're dirty. Clean your ass. Like what? There's a certain point where it's like, I'm not here for your fucking ego. That's disgusting. Like,
I also feel like you should know stuff like that before you get married so that you won't get married. Like to that person. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, look, why did I not know this?
How did you not know he wasn't doing this before y'all got married? Like how long were y'all dating before? Ooh. Also, that is true. There are some men that think like wiping their bottoms like that is gay, which I don't know who started that narrative, but I would like to fight them.
It's just sad. To me, this is what I think. To me, whenever somebody exhibits that lack of hygiene in that particular area, I think it smacks of sexual abuse. Oh. There's something deeper going on. There is, because I just think that any normal, normal is not really the right word to think, but to use, but I think that anybody who is self-aware enough and is kind of well-adjusted enough as an adult can recognize certain things and course correct. Like, if you notice every time you take off your underwear that there's literally poop on them, then you're like, oh goodness, like, okay, this is embarrassing. Even if there's no one there and no one else is seeing it, you're like, this is embarrassing. I'm going to fix that. That's a very easy course correction for somebody who is well-adjusted enough and, a fully grown human being. That's just, the logical step. So I feel like to me, it's a sign of that there's a deeper issue there. It's kind of like when you go into someone's house. It reminds me of this lady. Her whole YouTube channel is about cleaning, but specifically she cleans for people who are depressed.
Oh,
and who suffer from intense depression. Yes. And she'll go into their home and it's just like filth. It's just their homes are just completely, it's like hoarders meets, like, I don't even know, like just pounds of dirt. And like she goes in and she does it for free and she cleans it. And to me, it's kind of a similar thing with the whole hygiene thing. There's something deeper going on. Man. There's something more going on. Because like, okay, you're not washing your hair, you're not bathing. Okay, that's laziness, like do better. But when it comes to that particular area, I always think that there's some type of trauma involved. Maybe it's just me thinking too deeply into it, but it's just.
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I am saying that some of these men are just dealing with a lot of misogyny. Because it's like, it's the whole idea where there are men that like get with women and they be like, oh, she made me so much better. Like I drink so much water now and I take vitamins. And I'd be like, so like so what were you doing before?
It's a real thing though.
With acid rain for people?
No, it's a real thing. Like I remember a former friend of mine, she would get so upset because her husband would steal all of her skincare products. And I'm not talking about cheap. She bought expensive, like $100 a bottle, $150. She would come home and she would find out, she'd be like, man, this bottle is getting awfully light. I've only been using it for a couple weeks.
No.
Come to find out, this man was like using her serums, her moisturizer. And she finally confronted him because he was like, one day she went to the shower, she wanted to use her face wash and it was all gone. And this was like an $80 face wash. And so finally she just snapped and she like runs out of the shower with the face wash bottle and just throws it at him.
Oh my
And was
God.
like, have you been using my? And he was just kind of like, yeah, I'm sorry, but my skin's so soft now. Can you touch? Can you feel? And she was just like, I'm going to kill you.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I feel like it's one thing to be in a relationship with somebody and, okay, so like if he was just using Dove soap and you got him to start using an actual cleanser, cool. If he taught you how to do something that you didn't know how to do, cool. But when it feels like some of these stories that I've been reading online, it just sounds like they went from living in their mom's house to living in a frat house to living in their second mom's house. I mean, their wife.
Yep.
And so my brain is just like, I cannot compute. This does make me feel, it's like, imagine going on a date with somebody and like talking to them and just asking them questions like, so do you do your own laundry?
I mean, it's going to be like
Yeah,
my number
we're
5.
asking
Not my
these
number one
questions.
question. It's not my number one question, but it's like number 5.
What is your number one question?
My number one question is, okay, so this is how my number one question usually goes. Are you in a relationship? No. Is there anyone out there that thinks that you're in a relationship? No. Okay, are you legally in a relationship, but you're trying to ignore that it's legally binding in any way?
Ooh, sis.
No. Okay, were you formally legally in a relationship?
The fact that you have to ask
But
this question 8 million times.
but now you're not in that relationship anymore. Oh yeah, so you're divorced. Yes. Like you have to like go through all these. So that's usually my number one question. I ask it 8 different ways, but basically I'm just trying to make sure they're really single.
Bruh, that's true because I have asked, like, are you single? Is there anybody who thinks that you're not single? Because listen, you know how it be them guys who be like, oh, I'm just vibing. And they get like one girl like on the hook and
Yes.
she thinks they're like talking and getting somewhere into a relationship and she's just literally somebody for him to talk to.
Right. Yep.
And it's a shame. We got to literally break down the questions like
Oh
we
yeah.
have to ask the same question 4 or 5 different ways.
Yeah.
Because if you miss one of the questions and it's revealed later that they lied, they're gonna tell you, you didn't ask that. You asked this.
It's like
And
the
it's
kids
like,
question. It's like, do you have any kids? No. Do you have a woman out there that believes that you are the father of her children and it's been proven by a DNA test that you are now dodging because you're not paying child support that you have kids? Like, hello.
right.
Like I have to like find ways. And that's sad. That's sad when you have to do that.
I do think that that's kind of wild. That's like I went on a first date and the date was really, really bad. It was at Starbucks. Thank God. It was a really bad date, like really bad.
Oh no.
And it was obviously around the time where I was gaining weight due to some personal things.
Right.
And so I was really self-conscious, but like I had like gotten myself cute, let my sisters gas me up because honestly, what is the point of having sisters if they do not gas you up before a date?
This is true.
So I get there a little early to like, set up my space because I need to be like, I'm very strategic about where I sit in Starbucks. Like it's very specific. So I'm there. He comes in. I immediately recognize him and he looks at me and then he points that he's going to go get something to drink. So I'm like, okay, cool. So at this point, I'm like pep talking myself because obviously going on first dates I hate going on first dates. I hate the getting to know you phase. I hate all of that. But I'm always like, okay, just calm down. Like, it's going to be cool. And he sits down and he's like, I almost didn't recognize you. With your face, I never would have thought you were this big.
No, Brittany, he did not.
Yes, he did. And you know what's sad?
That was the first thing he said?
There. Yeah, my dumb ass stayed there because I was telling myself to give him a chance. Maybe he's just socially awkward and like literally word vomited. Yes, in my 20s, I really
Wow.
put up with a lot of things, and I think about it now, and I'm like, I really think about how I really would have grabbed my purse and just
And
walked
just left.
out,
I don't
but
know
I
why
stayed.
these dudes think it's appropriate to treat a woman that you're on a first date with worse than you would treat like just a stranger that you just met up with. You know what I mean? Like
There's
that
a
is
level of
crazy.
there's a lack of respect.
Huge lack of respect and just general overall politeness and kindness to your fellow man. Like
Yeah,
that is crazy to me.
because it's like my mouth is lethal. Like I could really hurt somebody with my words, but
That
like you
is
kind of have to earn
unbelievable.
it. So, like, why did I not read him for filth? I was recently broken up trying to tell myself to get out there, and I was having some real self-esteem issues. So I let him I stayed in a terrible date. Oh, and then at the end, he had the audacity to try to hug me and ask me for a kiss.
Ew.
Yeah. And it was just like, no. And he was like,
Yeah.
but I
No.
thought we were having a good time. Thanks for the tea. I'm gonna go home. He was like, is
Yep.
it gonna be like that for real? Literally, as I was walking to my car, I was blocking him. And then he stuck his head out of the Starbucks, like, did you just block me?
That's what he gets.
At which point I like ran to my car because I felt like it was
Cle-
probably gonna go bad from there.
Clearly, he like went to text you, probably something horrible.
I don't know what he was planning on doing, but it was the fact that like as soon as I like because I blocked him on whichever dating site. I think it was Bumble. I
That
think I
is
blocked him on
hilarious.
Bumble first. And then I proceeded to like take his name and go to the social medias that I found of his because
That is
obviously my
hilarious.
friend and I spied on him before our date. And I blocked him from all of those. And then I blocked his number last. And that's when he came out the door mad. And I was like, oh, hell, nope, nope.
Oh
That's before I
no.
thought about having weapons on me. So I ran.
Oof. Yeah, no, these men are scary. Like they do not handle rejection well
They don't.
whatsoever. It's like they just go into a rage, and I do not want to be present for the after effects of that.
Another reason why I feel like it's perfectly okay to oh, because also Bad Fat Black Girl, highly recommend that book. I fucking love that book. It
Ooh,
was really great. But like she said something very important about how like dating yourself and like taking care of yourself, like you should be taking care of yourself to the caliber that you expect somebody else to take care of you.
I agree.
So that's what I've been focusing on.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I mean, I think at the end of the day, like for me personally, my peace is number one.
Yep.
And I live a pretty good life and I'm actually happy. So anything more would have to be better than what it is right now.
I think, yeah, I think that's where I'm at. I'm like, you have to bring something of value into my life now.
Hmm.
Um, being cute is not the flex you think it is.
It's not enough. It's not
Having a
enough.
job, good for you. You're an adult. You have no kids. Okay, so you haven't slipped up yet. Congratulations. Like,
Not slipped up yet. I'm dead.
listen, because they really be like, "Oh, I'm a good guy," large quotes around that. "I'm a good
Hmm.
guy. I got a nice job. I don't have no kids. I got my own place." Sounds very adult. Do
Yeah,
you want a
you're a
cookie?
responsible human being. You know what? I've realized the older I get, the more a man having self discipline is attractive to me
Oh, yeah.
because these men that shame women for not having sex with them by the third date, but then also turn around and shame women and call
Call them
women
hoes.
like yeah, call women like Lori Harvey 304s because they've dated more than one guy publicly. Like it's like they
Also,
can't
she never
decide.
confirmed. She only confirmed one man. She ain't
Also, what
confirmed
if
none of them
she
other ones.
it's also just like what if she did? Like she's allowed to date around till she finds the person that she wants to be with. That's pretty normal.
Also, I reckon like if you can handle it, go live your best whole life safely.
Yes. But who's to say that she's even sleeping with all of them? Like I remember I
That's
dated a lot in
another
my
thing.
20s. And I didn't sleep with most of those men. I just
You
went
know
on a
what?
lot of dates.
They're only mad because it seems like she's coming out on top of every single situation they see her in.
Yep, that's exactly why they're mad. And
That's
so
literally the only reason.
just like learning how degenerate men can become when they don't have sexual access to you, and how high on a pedestal they place sex, like to the fact where they will deceive you and pretend to be a different person for 6 months until you sleep with them, and then all of a sudden they'll ghost you. Like just crazy stuff like that. Like that, I have just come to really find a man who has sexual self-discipline and just self-discipline overall to be very attractive. Because if a man has self-discipline in one area, more than likely he has it in all areas of his life. And that
It's
means what now?
I'm just laughing because I'm like, ah, that dude, the liars. Oh my God. Because
It's
that's
true
why you don't
though.
answer the question of, that's why if you ever have a guy that asks you, what are you looking for? Never answer that question.
Yeah, don't ever answer. But these men are so driven by lust that they can't even like think properly and function like normal human beings. And to me, that is very unattractive, and it just like disgusts me. And I'm just like, ew, gross. It's kind of like when you match with somebody on a dating site and the first comment to you is like overly sexual, and you're just like, why? Why? It
Anytime
didn't
I
have to be
matched
like
with
this.
the Asian man on Hinge, it was always like, hey, sweet chocolate. Blech.
Yeah, it's just like it didn't have to be this way. So I just find self-discipline to be a very desirable trait in a man. Like, kudos to you because you've learned how to master yourself and actually have self-control. I think that's
You want to know
amazing.
another really attractive trait that's technically a bare minimum, but it's something about it being so refreshing that I have to remember to stand up because it is still a basic?
What?
Honesty.
That's so sad and so true.
I know, but like, hear me out. I met this guy. He was absolutely gorgeous. Like, the Lord blessed him with all of the things. And we're talking at the bar, and he's like, oh, I'd really like to get to know you. And I was like, get to know me how?
Right.
Because I don't even want to give you my number if we're like my number is precious at this point. So let me just ask you now. And he was
Yeah.
like, can I be honest? I'm like, I would prefer it that way. And
Yeah.
he's like, I just want to know what you insert all the sexual things you could probably think of. And I was like, oh wow. And he was like, did I offend you? I was like, surprisingly, no.
At least he was upfront about it.
That's what I was like. He was like, oh yeah. I was like, yeah. I was like, because that means I don't have to waste my time.
Right.
That means you're not going to sit up here and put up a facade
Mm.
of the person that you think I want you to be.
Mm.
And he's like, and then he gave me his card and he was like, well, if you ever get curious. And I was like, again, this type of proactive, open communication is very attractive, but also it's a bare minimum. And I need to stand up because remember, he was also fine. So
Oh, your self-control was put to the test that
listen,
day,
it
wasn't it?
was like, oh wait, nope, I'm good. Thank you so much. He bought me a drink. He bought me and my friends a drink, and then was like, "Have a nice night, ladies," and left.
Mm.
It was one of the most attractive encounters I've ever had, and it was just because he was honest.
That's so funny. Like the bare minimum.
And that is a bare
The
minimum.
bar is in hell.
It's below. It exists in some type of like plane past the Milky Way galaxy at this point
But the
because
good news is the rise of lonely single men is because women have raised their dating standards.
I'm really
So may
proud of
we
us.
continue to raise those standards to the sky, to what we
All
deserve.
the way to the sky.
And if it weeds out, a lot of men, so be it. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be stuck in a situation where, your man is your dependent, or
Settle for
like a
nothing.
child, or not really bringing anything to the table and stressing you the F out and causing you to age before your time. So,
Also, there's nothing wrong with having cats or dogs or parakeets or whatever you want to have
agreed.
as comfort. Um, if some of them got pets, they'd probably be a lot more affectionate in the first place.
Oh, that's true. Pets do have a way of kind of bringing that out of us. Agreed.
Yeah. So I think like the lesson of this article is stay true to yourself,
Yes.
accept nothing less. Your
Yes.
standards are not too high.
No. Never too high.
They're never too high. And if a man tries to get you to bring them down, he's not for you. That's like that meme where it's, or the picture where it's a girl and she's like sitting up top of a wall and it's the guy at the
Mm-hmm.
bottom and he's like, hey. And she's like, what? He was like, I want to be with you. And she's like, okay. He's like, come down here. And she looks down at him and she's like, no.
Yep. It's
I'm
exactly
like,
like
that's
that.
a forever mood. I'm very proud
Because
of us.
what they're supposed to do is climb up.
Yep. Or build their way up.
I mean, there were literally whole stories written about the women in the tower and the man climbing up. Like, hello.
Oh, that is so true. Even in the patriarchal fairy tale world, men still had to do everything to get to the
Yep.
woman.
Yeah, they were not trying to make her come down. They were actually climbing the castle walls to go up. So I'm just saying.
Fighting dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
They weren't trying to get her to come off of her throne. They were like, you know what? Stay there and I will protect you and I will try to get to you. What happened to those men?
I don't know. But speaking of dragons,
Yes.
week 3 is retelling week.
I
So I hope
know.
you
I'm so
guys
excited.
found something.
I know. We're going to be trying to put up some recommendations this week and we'll try to put
Yeah,
up
I'll be posting them tonight.
recommendations. Okay, good. And we'll try to
Yeah.
like retroactively put up some for the past 2 weeks as well because I know we need to.
Yeah, that's my fault, guys. I kind of fell behind, but some retelling ones from the Nekkid announcement. I'll be posting those. If you just want to go check out that announcement video yourself, it is on our channel.
Yes.
Some people did recommend. We have one. There is one that me and Oshley are both reading. It is Snow White and the Seven Hustlers.
That's going to be very interesting.
So if you're intrigued, like for those who don't know, this month in Black Prose is Nekkid Readathon. It is our celebration of Black love and Black romance written by Black authors.
Yes.
And so every week there's a different theme, and we are currently in week 3, which is our retelling theme.
Yes.
And so your goal, it doesn't matter, like you don't have to, there is no set amount of reading. There's no like crazy reading prompts. It's literally like read what you want when you want. But the goal this week is to try to find some romantic retellings by Black authors.
I know. And that's it. Like, yes.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out, did we miss any other? Oh, and if you want, you can come hang out with us on Wednesday back on this channel for some reading sprints. But I will be posting some books. So maybe I feel like we might all be reading the same books.
Probably. Because there aren't a lot to choose from in this prompt.
There aren't. And I kind of hope that inspires some authors to write some more.
I know.
Because like, I would like and I'm just going to put this out there, obviously. I would like a like Tangled-esque retelling with Black people, but hear me out. Instead of her having this long flowing hair trapped in a tower, let's just have it to where her mama is really, really strict. And like she's a church girl. Like give me that. Give me a very modern version of Tangled.
That would be cute, actually.
Right.
I would enjoy that.
That would be super adorable.
Yes, agreed.
Also, y'all got me reading a lot of romance. Like,
are you overdosing?
I'm not gonna say that I'm overdosing. I'm enjoying the stories. It's just that I be reading these and I be like, yo, these things don't, like this relationship, this man, where they at?
I know. There's not a lot of them. I don't know. I feel like I know men like this. So that kind of keeps hope alive. And I'm just like, well, I know they exist. I just know that they're a very, very small community.
Yeah. And then, you know, like I be reading these books. I'm like, one, they make the characters sound absolutely beautiful. I love the fact that all of them are Black AF.
I know. I love it.
Yeah. It's just like, if we had been doing this readathon and it was just romance in general, I don't know if I would still be reading romance by week 3. but it's something about them being black. Like it's them being black. It's them just living in the world. Like it's multiple books where like homegirl gets the dicking of her life. And then she meets her homegirls for brunch and they gush about it in the most inappropriate way. It is so
Yeah.
realistic to me. And it's
Very
just like,
relatable.
this would be because also like we stopped doing chick flicks and stuff on TV. Like some of these books would make perfect rom-coms.
You and the
Perfect
rom-com. It's just so
rom-coms.
funny to me how much you love them.
I do. I love them so much. And most people do not know that. But like that's my thing. Next to Disney, rom-coms.
Cracks me up. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. A lot of them had Anne Hathaway in them for some reason. But you know, yeah.
She had her moment in the sun for sure.
She did.
I feel like they had her on speed dial. They got a script.
They
and
really
like,
did. It's like they picked
requires.
one woman and regurgitate her everywhere. Her and Rachel McAdams.
Yeah, she was in quite a few in her day as well. I always think about like the rom-coms of my childhood, and it was like Kate Hudson, Jennifer Lopez.
Yep.
Gosh, who else? It was like certain girl. Julia Stiles had a moment,
I'm about
honey.
to say Julia.
Julia Stiles had a moment, and Julia Roberts. The Julias had their moments. Okay.
Oh my gosh! Also, I as corny as every one of the Julia Stiles ones were, I were obsessed.
Oh, obsessed.
All the Julia Stiles ones.
Oh, and
but
Renee
also,
Zellweger.
like, can you name one where it was a black girl starring in it?
Gabrielle Union. She had Deliver Us from Eva.
Gabrielle Union did give us multiple bops. Her and Megan Good were really in there trying to strive for us.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Shania Lathan, Nia Long.
Shania Lathan. A bunch of them. Yeah.
And they are still just as fine as they were back then as they are today.
They are. 100%.
Man.
But those are like the chick flicks that I think about. Like, I was gonna say Renee Zellweger because Bridget Jones's Diary 1 and 2 is now on Netflix.
Hate that movie with the Passion of Christ.
That movie gives me intense secondhand embarrassment, and so it's really hard for me to watch it.
I don't understand how it's such a beloved movie. I hate that movie.
It just causes you to have really, really cringy feelings. You're like, oh my God.
It's really bad, in my opinion.
So. And then she didn't even end up with Colin Firth's character. It's just
didn't even.
Like, you're just like, what was it all
reason?
For? Yes, literally. In the words of Cardi B, what was the reason? Like, you're just like.
I think that's another reason why I really can't stand the Bridget. No, because I'm like, girl, what was all? You was doing all this for nothing?
She was doing the most.
Like, it's a whole movie where you was. Oh my God, no, I can't. You need a friend to tell you to calm down.
You know what it was too? I could not. It was not believable to me that these men were interested in her. Just could not buy it. I was like,
you're asking me to suspend too much belief here. No.
I was like, girl, I don't. It's no. In what universe? No, girl. Mm-mm. No.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, it was.
Go get my laptop and sit on the couch and watch a movie.
I think my most rewatched chick flicks outside of, the ones starring, Nia Long and Gabrielle Union would probably be the ones with Jennifer Lopez. I love a good Jennifer Lopez movie. I don't know what it is. I love it. Made in Manhattan. I can always rewatch anytime. Yeah, Jennifer Lopez.
Most rewatched is Princess Diaries 1 and 2.
Oh, I love the Princess Diaries.
That's my number one watched one, surprisingly. But if it's one where it's like a love story that might make me cry a little, I used to be obsessed with Brown Sugar.
Oh, I love that movie. That's a good movie. Oh, you want to know? I take it back. The number one over even Jennifer Lopez ones, Jumping the Broom. I don't know what it is about that movie. I can watch that movie anytime. Yes. Any day, anytime. Like I could literally be going through the channels and I see it and I'm like, ooh, yes, Jumping the Broom is on. And I just like, I don't know what it is about that movie. Oh, I don't know what it is. I guess I just love that it's like the rich posh girl and the like rough and tumble Brooklyn dude. I just love it. I just love
the name of the movie where it was Bernie Mac, Ashton Kutcher, and Zoe Saldana.
It was the remake of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Yes.
And they switched it. They flipped it. So Sidney Poitier was the original version, and he brought home, or his girlfriend, who's white, brought him home to meet her family, and it was like the 60s. It was very shocking. And so they remade the movie, and they flipped the genders and the scenarios. So it was Zoe Saldana bringing Ashton Kutcher home to meet her Black family, and it was just hilarious.
I love that movie too. What's
Which
another one
now
that
that I think about that movie, it does make me a little bit uncomfortable because of how hardcore Zoe Saldana said she wasn't Black.
I try not to think about that because I really be like, "Sis, we really put you on the map. You're welcome."
And I was just like, so you weren't Black when you took the Black girl role in Center Stage? That was like your breakout role. So you weren't Black when you took like the Black girl role in that Britney Spears movie? I was
Nope.
like, girl, you've been playing Black your whole career. So
Her and Stacey Dash. Her and Stacey Dash. I'd be like, so like, we not gonna pretend like you weren't on every Black movie as the
yes,
fine Black girl. We're gonna okay, all
it's
right,
very
whatever.
confusing. It's very
That's why every
confusing.
time I see Zoe Saldana now, I'm just like, I noticed you ain't really been like she's been doing a lot of voice acting. Like the last thing I remember hearing her voice on was Maya and the Three, which is a limited series on Netflix. Highly recommend it. But like as far as like seeing her face, I was like, I see that your Black ass ain't been getting casted like you thought.
Well, you know what killed her career though?
That Nina Simone crap.
Yes, girl. When we told her not to do it, we said, don't do don't do it, girl. Don't do
It was
it.
her getting on camera and crying like she just didn't know that it was such a bad thing later
Oh,
on. And it was just like,
God.
sweetie, don't pretend like you didn't block people on Instagram and stuff because we were
Yes.
telling you that you were basically going in blackface.
Oh my God.
She just let me down so much because she used to be one of my favorite actresses.
And she's also clearly delusional because she is Black. Like there is such a thing as being Afro-Latina, Zoe. Are you
Yeah, it was the
aware
fact that she didn't
that
even
you're
say like she was Afro-Latino. She was
like,
she made it
ma'am?
very clear she is not Black, she is Latina. And it was
I
just
was
like,
like,
dang.
Latina is not a race, Zoe. I don't know if you're aware of this,
It
but it
hurt.
is
I
not a
was like,
race.
well, okay, I'm sorry that like being in our group was so terrible for you.
Here's my problem with her, though. I almost feel like she got really weird after she married that white presenting man. I know he's Hispanic as well, but there are white Hispanics or white presenting Hispanics. And I just feel like she just got weird after she married him. Things just got weird. Like she
Sounds
got
like
weird. She started saying
Tamara.
weird things. And I just want to know what's the tea. Like, is he beating you behind closed doors? Like, what's happening? Is he
Ask
like,
Tamara. They probably think on the same playing field.
did you walk into his apartment and his mom was sitting there with a teacup and she was like, sink? Like, I need to know.
I'm so very upset with you for even making that reference.
It's true though. Like, she's been acting strange ever since, and I just want to know what's up.
Also, I just want to manifest this. At this point of the podcast in the future, this is where we'd be reading an email or something from a viewer asking for advice or telling us a story.
Yes.
Because that will be a segment at some point in the
Coming in the
future.
future. Absolutely.
I think that would be absolutely hilarious, especially when we have the podcast with Troy on the.
I know.
That would be hilarious.
I can only imagine the advice we're all going to give.
I know. Just, yeah. One day we'll have that email available, but I'm manifesting that today. Today is what? April 15th, 2022
Wait,
at,
April?
oh, shoot, August 15th.
I was like, we missing a couple months there.
August 15th.
What simulation are you in?
At 8:19 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Girl, 8:19 for you, 9:19 for me.
9:19 for you. We're gonna have some segments by this time next year.
Amen. I love it.
But we do need to go because I did just realize we almost been on here. We about to give y'all another almost 2-hour podcast.
Yeah, we gotta go.
Who are we?
The people that gotta go.
I know, but on that note, thank y'all so much for coming through. Thank y'all for always being supportive of us. We love y'all so much. Don't forget to share this with your friends. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, and you can check us out over on Instagram as well at Black Pros Club. Any more things?
We will see y'all on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for some reading sprints.
All right. On that note, stay black, stay blessed, and keep your peace.
Yes, keep your peace.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.